Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Go for a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
Let's hang out. Let's hang out. And let's talk about what Leslie's about. Let's hang out. And let's listen to two lesbians shout. Let's hang out. Let's hang out.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Lez Hang Out, the podcast that just wants you to draw us like one of your gay French girls, damn it.
Leigh, have you ever been painted like a French girl?
I have not. And now I'm suddenly wondering why.
I know. I don't understand why no one's painted you like a French girl, but what are we going to do?
It's not so much to ask, world, okay? Just, God. From the West Coast, I'm Leigh Holmes Foster.
And from the East Coast, I'm Ellie. To those of you who have been with us through this whole journey, thank you as always for listening. If you're a new listener, welcome. We're excited to have you here. Here's what's happening this week. This week in the Lesdom. This week in the Lesdom is a place where we can touch base each episode about things going on with the podcast or otherwise. We are still releasing our Season 7 Patreon bonus episodes. And actually, today we have a new Patreon bonus episode for The Kids Are All Right coming out with my good friend Rebecca, who had a lot of strong feelings about The Kids Are All Right. She was like, you have to talk to me when you do your Patreon episode. So we did, and it was a lot of fun. You know, good. We had a good fight, and it was great. So check out our Patreon at bit.ly/lespatreon to hear all of our thoughts.
We all have a lot of thoughts. We also want to remind you that our new musical, Journey to the Heart, is still releasing. There is no new episode this week, but next week, episode 5 will be out. There are only 2 episodes left on this journey, so you don't want to miss it. In the greater Les universe, let's start with the kind of want news of the week, which is that there is a bar in London that is opening, and they plan to make themselves a members-only community so that they can be super turfy, and it looks gross, y'all. Just gross.
I also was trying to find more about this, and I was like, is it actually called that? I was like, it's literally called Turf Bar.
It's not.
It's not. But I was like, wow, what a name, huh?
It's not. They have some shitty name too. What is it? It's called L Community. It's a whole lot. So rough. It is, the woman who's starting this is just a big old turf who keeps trying to host events, and all of her events keep getting shut down because they keep trying to exclude trans women. And so instead, they're like, oh, well, we're going to make a private members club so that it's legal for us to be terrible. And you're like, okay, well, I just actually don't know that makes it that much better. So there you go. In case anyone needs a good bar to avoid, it's L Community. Please don't go there.
I doubt that anyone will be. But yes, insane. In better, gayer, lesbian, amazingness news. Kristen Stewart was on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine. And in all her ridiculously gay glory, really pushing the boundaries with that photo shoot and making all of the queer people who are attracted to her flip the fuck out.
She's looking very Shane today, is all I have to say about this.
And, a lot of conservative people are really, they've got their jockstrap in a twist over Kristen Stewart in a jockstrap. And, I like that she also basically said, it's not for you, so that's okay. I'm here for it.
She's so right. Listen. You can't hate her for that. I mean,
no, and it also, it's doing its job, which is getting all of us absolutely feral over Love Lies Bleeding. I think every queer person in the world is going to be watching that movie. So
yeah,
Good on you, Kristen Stewart's PR team.
Yeah, seriously. Also, in the Greater Lez universe, can we discuss, have you seen the trailer for this yet?
No, but I have seen pictures.
Okay, so there's this new movie coming out that's called French Girl, okay? And it stars some of our faves and then Zach Braff.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if I call Zach Braff a fave, but...
No. It stars our faves, Evelyn Brochu, who we all know and love
Obsessed.
as Delphine from Orphan Black.
Yes.
And also stars Vanessa Hudgens,
Of
obviously,
Switch fame.
of P-Sweet fame.
And Spring Breakers fame.
And yes, so just
Her
the fame
most famous films.
continues.
What everyone knows Vanessa Hudgens from.
Princess Switch. What else? Literally, what else would anyone know her from?
She's ever been in.
I don't understand. You sound facetious, and I don't know why. Okay, so listen. So this guy is engaged. So Zach Braff plays a guy who is engaged to, I think, get married to Evelyn Brochu,
yeah.
right? And goes back to meet her family, including her ex, Vanessa Hudgens, who is like clearly gunning to get back with her like the whole movie. And I'm sorry, but just based on the trailer's vibes alone, it feels like they are setting this up to be like, and it's a rom-com, and of course, like, she's gonna pick Zach Braff. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but if this movie does not end with those two women sucking face on a beach somewhere in the most romantic scene imaginable, like, I will riot. There will be Molotov cocktails flying at movie theaters from my car. Like, incorrect.
Yes.
Incorrect.
The answer to this film is not for Zach Braff and Evelyn Brochu to ride into the sunset together. Like,
no.
Especially when you look at Vanessa Hudgens in that hat. Like, it's not believable. It's not believable, folks. All right, but
yes.
when it comes out, we'll decide if we have to do a ship and gay
I already know it's going to disappoint me, and I'm still going to go in as though I won't leave mad, and I already know I will. So there's that.
There's that. That's what's happening this week. Back to you, Ellie and Leigh.
Thanks, Ellie and Leigh. We are so excited to bring you episode 14 of season 7, Art Attack, and we are joined by a very special guest today. We have Halie Torris, who is a figurative artist painting women from the sapphic gaze, celebrating voices and stories that have historically been muted, distorted, or discarded by the male patriarchal gaze, as we shake our fist.
I know, we are here for that. Hey, Halie, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We are so excited for you to be here. I think you're probably one of the first visual artists we've had on, right, Leigh?
I think that...
Maybe the first.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I was like,
Really?
I think actually might be the
I feel
first.
special.
Yeah.
I feel really special then.
Yes.
I feel like we're hard to come by, honestly.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it. Trust me.
For more.
We're going to... We're going to talk about why are there not more just like piles and piles of sapphic female paintings. Yeah.
And it's like also because I feel like, I mean, this is maybe our first question for you. Like, I feel like also the gays fucking eat it up. Like, do you have like a lot of people buying your paintings?
I never, like, looking back to when I started doing this in 2020, I never thought I could be an artist. Like, I didn't know how that would be possible. And then I just randomly decided to make my prints available, and I started getting orders, and it was like, oh my God, there's people out there that actually do love my work and are connecting and like are really craving that sapphic lens. And that's like when it happened. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, now I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this is literally what my job is and what I do. So
What were the earliest prints that you put up? Like, what were they?
My first that like actually went viral. I was about to quit TikTok because I was so frustrated with it. And I put up my painting Temptation, which was the first very openly gay painting that I put up of two female subjects. And I put it to Fletcher's song, I think The One. And it went, and it got like,
that sounds
it
right.
got like
over nothing gay
over
about
like
that.
100,000 views, which was huge for me at the time. And I'm like, oh my God. And I just kept getting all these comments that were like, when are the print, like, do you have prints available? And people were asking. So that's when I made it like, okay, we'll do like a pre-sale because I wasn't done with the painting yet. And that's like the first one that went sort of viral for me. And I just sort of kept going ever since then.
There's something so great about saying like, I was about to give up on TikTok and I didn't know if my paintings could work until I made them as gay as fucking possible and put them up with like Fletcher as a soundtrack. And then all of a sudden,
literally,
they're like flying off the shelves like hotcakes. And it's like, that tracks. That feels.
Yeah, that really tracks.
Yeah, because I feel like people can really connect and resonate, obviously, with the songs. So they hear themselves, but then having a visual was something I was craving too. So I was like, I'm just going to do that. And I already have these like narratives within me. But when I hear a song, I can connect and share it through like the visual story of a video and do it in a way that like makes sense and that can connect. But yeah, having songs you can just connect it to like Fletcher or Taylor, it's like,
oh, we will talk about gay.
Yeah, we'll get
for sure.
We'll get there.
Before we dive into that, I would like, so you have a podcast called The Closeted Artist, right? So
yes,
I'm guessing that because of the word closeted, like at some time you were not comfortable painting sapphic paintings. Like what was the switch that sort of flipped for you to be like, you know what, I feel like I want to share this part of myself with my art and with other people?
I think the first thing was just like coming out and being accepting of myself. Like I remember coming out to myself first, and then I would draw really gay stuff. Like I remember just always wanting to paint and draw women before I came out, specifically like actresses or singers. And I remember being so excited to share them. But I would share them. Like I draw Lauren Haregi. Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
Okay,
From,
like
what's it called?
Fifth Harmony.
Yeah. And
which
she did this song with Halsey that was super gay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Strangers. And I did a painting for that. And that's sort of how I got started on Instagram. And actually, full circle moment, I actually did a painting for her and sent it to her, which was
so
pretty cool.
That's
but
awesome.
And I'm like, I hope you weren't like, creeped out that I did all those.
She clearly was flattered. She's like, please paint me again.
Yeah, so I would just like share on Instagram. And then it was 2020, I came out and just felt like I wasn't turning back. Like I remember the beginning of 2020, I'm like, this is my year. Like we're going to go before COVID. And then I just like dropped my coming out post and did the podcast, like started talking on the podcast and was really just craving using my voice for the first time, like creatively and with the pod. So yeah.
Did the realization come about because of the art, or did you just suddenly realize that the art had always sort of been like the window into the soul that was gay the whole time, right? Like,
yeah, that the second part. Yeah, I feel like that was the case. Like there were signs, and I even asked my mom, I'm like, did you not wonder why I'd always draw women? And she's like, no, I didn't really think twice about it. But looking back, like that's all I did. And then I think that the connection to making paintings that empowered my sexuality came like after college, but it was always there. Like it was once I moved and sort of was on my own. And I'm like, what really do I want to paint? What lights a fire inside of me? And what is something that I specifically know how to paint well and have experienced? And that was sort of
And the gayest answer to that is just like girls. Yeah, that's
I
so fucking love that so much. It's just the girl's gift from Little Women, right? Like that's it's that.
Yes.
But it's so real though, right? Like it's so, because that's the thing is like you're saying like I am not an artist, and so it's so funny to me like how still incredibly relatable it feels to imagine that I'm like, man, if I could draw, what would I draw? Yeah, fucking women, like all the time. Why wouldn't you? Like it just feels like every lesbian, every bisexual, like every queer woman out there is just like, yeah, like girls, that's why what else would you want to look at or create? I don't understand.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, I also feel like in terms of like, I mean, we sort of in like historically, like the human body has been like part of paintings for so long, right? Because like, and then like think about like the celebration of women's bodies in paintings because women are beautiful. No shit, right? So it's like then you put that together and you're like, how about two women together in a painting double the beauty, like from exponentially.
A gay perspective
Yes.
too, like not from the male gaze, which is something that I've really honed in on, because I'd learn in art history about, yes, we've been painted since antiquity for years and years, and all we would learn about were male artists creating paintings of women, and never, I mean, we learned about a couple like Frida and a couple others like Hannah Wilke. There's specific ones that we would learn about, but it would predominantly be, from men. And that also lit something in me where I'm like, no, like the Saphics know best.
Yes.
Like that's my biased opinion, but we notice the little nuances and we notice the subtle things that I feel like men just don't pick up on in my work either. So
it's so funny because I don't know if this is just me and I don't know. You'd have to tell me, Ellie. Did you come out in college, Halie, or was it after college?
It was like my junior year of college. Like I told my friends and my close family, but then I just told everyone like in 2020. I graduated in 2018, so it was like right after.
So, because what I'm wondering is like, I feel like for me, my experience, and I feel like it's not like it can't happen afterwards, but I feel like it was especially prominent in college, right? Is that I feel like college years as a lesbian, like you would meet dudes and dudes would be like, oh, common ground. Like we both love girls, right? And you're like, it's not untrue. Sure. Like, yes, we are both attracted.
Yeah.
We are both attracted to women, but it's also like, it really highlighted so clearly sometimes that I'm like, we are both attracted to women, but like in such really different ways. Right? Like, it's just, they would say things that they'd be
example,
like, this will be a shared thing.
From today, actually.
Oh,
today?
God, I'm so excited. But it's like, they would just say things where they'd be like, this is a shared thing. And I'd be like, it is not really, actually. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay,
yes, I do.
Give us your today example.
Because we need to hear this.
So,
for example, I had a reel that went viral literally yesterday. Like it has 500,000 views on Instagram. And it was a video of me talking about the male gaze and saying that I mostly learned about art through the male gaze in art history. That's basically what the video was. And it was to a Mrs. Incredible sound. Like it was just like a fun little sound video. And I was not expecting it to do that. And I want engagement, but not in this way. So they pushed the video to all these men, like probably very far right. And I was getting all these comments this morning that were like, just men are stronger. Like we could crush. I had one that said like, I could crush you with my two hands.
Oh God.
This is why men are superior. And but then on the flip side, it was like I had people that were supporting me, of course, like women in the comments, but men just saying, you're doing the same thing. You're just painting naked women. And I'm like, you're totally missing what the point of it is. There's a difference between exploiting and sexualizing and objectifying versus like taking power over empowering and creating them as subjects with feelings and as full
like
souls
personalities and thoughts and goals.
And it was just an entire day. Like I turned off comments for everybody on that because I was just like, I can't take this in all day. All these, it was like every 5 to 10 minutes, there'd be like 3 more just random men commenting. So
yeah, well, and
there is a difference.
It's like when we, Ellie and I have been talking a lot lately about, we still have like a presence on Facebook that we don't really do anything with, but it's just like, everything you post on Instagram, cross posts.
We just like share. We just share
on
the
Facebook,
same stuff.
whatever. And it's like,
smart.
and we get so many comments from like old angry boomer men on there who will look at a picture and like just by virtue of having like the association of lesbians anywhere around it, right? Like who just look at things and are like strap on, or like or we had one where it was this guy who like posted something and he was like, oh, it was something about like, oh, like the smell of fish or something, and we were like, sir, like my man, if when you think about women, that's what you think of. Like, I'm not sure we are in the same realm of attraction to women. anymore.
Oh
like,
my God.
No, I had a showing in Maryland, just like of my work. I opened my studio for the night and I had men walk in. This is when I notice is in person when they're reacting to just my work on, I mean, these big, large scale figurative paintings of women together on the wall. And like Taylor Swift during her Vigilante performance with her, like just the chair performance. And they just looked and I could just feel it. Like I could feel it in my body. I'm like, I don't want them looking at my work. Like I know they're gonna sexualize it or they're gonna, I don't know. I don't notice until it's like in person or then I get comments like that because I honestly forget that they exist.
Yeah.
Because
the
they take something that's not for them and act like it's for them. And you're like, no, it's gross when you do it now. Like it's gross, you know? Like
Mm-hmm.
But that is the whole point of why it is important to like, and why it resonates that you're creating sapphic paintings from the sapphic gaze, right? Like, and the people who it resonates with, like, it really
they
hits.
get it.
Yeah. So I'm sorry that you had to deal with all of these random men because that is horrible.
Yeah, sorry to bring that up.
No, it's valid.
It's important.
It literally happened today though, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna come up for sure. I'm thinking about it all day.
It is valid, and it is also like, it just is something you have to deal with as an online creator, like unfortunately, and that just
it's all profiles that have a stock photo, no like picture, no name. 2 followers, like people that are just hiding behind men that are most likely men that are hiding behind them. So,
You know what it's also making me think about though is like just in terms of, you know, you were saying, oh, that first video went viral and it was just like, oh, here's a clearly sapphic painting, like set in I feel like the thing about the Fletcher song is like, yes, I mean, it's funny and perfect, but it's also just, I feel like it's a good clue in immediately that you're like, this is a space for me, you know,
safe,
And but what I love about it is when we were before we started recording, Ellie, when you had hopped off to restart your computer, we were talking about how you're friends with Ivy, who we had on, and I think so much of what we talked about in our episode with Ivy is the same idea of like there's something different as queer women about spaces that invite you into that female gaze in a way that feels like it doesn't make you feel like you're putting yourself in that position of how men make us feel the ways that we just covered, right? Like, don't make us feel like we are coming into a space where that gaze is not wanted, where that gaze is not invited, where that gaze is not, like, celebrated and empowering and whatever. It's like there is something that I think is so important and uncommon about those spaces, and I think especially with art, like what we were just saying at the top, is like there are not a lot of places out there that you can be like, hey, I want sapphic art that's not gross and like over sexualized and, you know, pumped out by an AI for men. Like it's not.
Oh, don't even get me started.
We won't go there.
But no, it's true. It's so true though. It's very hard. I mean, thinking of my own podcast too, and wanting to interview other visual sapphic artists, I can count on my hand. Like it's hard to find them. And if you do find them, I've noticed it's hard to have them want to speak on it and be open about it and not be a presence and have their work and actually be more of I don't want to say a personality, but just put themselves out there and talk about it on like a podcast. It's hard to come by, I feel like, in the visual arts.
Yeah. I'm like, do you think that's just the like visual artists, like, I mean, maybe like are more introverted as a whole? Or it's like,
I think so. Speaking on behalf of myself, yes.
I would imagine.
Yes. I feel like I've opened up a lot, but I'm still very like, I don't know. There's still that layer of mystery I feel like artists have to have. But I feel like for Sapphics, sharing our stories, it's really important.
Yeah.
And I just think it can help somebody. That's why I'm so open to share, just because I've been in that position of, you know, being closeted and being so scared to talk about something, and it eats away at you.
Yeah.
And it's just, you can't live like that.
It's interesting because, I mean, Ellie and I we talk a lot about media, right? And like primarily we talk about movies and TV shows and stuff. And like, but I sometimes, like, I have this conversation a lot, right? Like, trying to explain to straight people, like, why is it so important? Like, why do we care so much? Why do we care so much if a TV show has a gay character in it? Why do I care so much if a movie was made by a queer director and a queer writer telling those stories? Like, why does it matter? You know, and you try to explain the importance of representation. And I think the thing that's hard sometimes is, like, I can explain it in terms of, like, here's why it matters. Like, think about how many TV shows or movies you've watched in your life and how many of them did you feel seen in, right? Like, sure, like, they get it. But they can understand that as a question. What they don't understand, and there's no way to get into it in those conversations, but it's so a big part of it, is it's like, okay, but now take that and apply it to everything. Apply it to every part of your life. Apply it to, like, every time you've gone to a museum in your life. How many times have you gone to a museum? When have you ever seen something where, like, you went into a museum and you were like, wow, I'm nowhere in here, right? Like, how many times have you, like, just, you walk through life and you don't realize, like, the number of places that it affects, right? And I think queer people have that understanding because we all live that reality in a daily basis, you know? But I'm like, it's hard for me to, like, without feeling like I'm just beating, like, you over the head with something, to be like, think about everything. Think about everything. Like, think about every commercial you've ever seen. Think about every painting you've ever seen. Think about every book you've ever read. Think about, like, just everything. It encompasses everything. And I think, like, the reason that we were so excited to, like, do an episode on this is, like, I mean, obviously, yes, like, we'll talk about the paintings and the Taylor Swift stuff and then whatever, but, like, it's...
I'm dying to talk about the gaylor of it all.
But we're gonna get to it, I promise. But I feel like, for me, one of the things that like immediately jumped out at me is just, like, you know, like, there's sort of, like, the running joke of, like, oh, historians, like, you know, these two women in bed, like, we think they were friends, their relationship.
Oh, they're roommates.
And they're roommates, like, history hates lovers, right? Like, okay, sure, fine. But it's so true, you know? Like, it's so true. It's like you sit through an entire life of learning about art, going to museums, seeing things, doing, like, reading books, doing whatever. And it's like everything is geared towards erasing our stories and erasing the possibility that we ever even existed. And I'm like, and then you go on TikTok or you go on whatever, or you go on a website and you just see, like, wait, here we are, paintings for us, about us. Like, from the lens of our perspective. And I'm like, it's so hard to explain, like, why it makes such a big difference to straight people. I'm like, how do I capture that? You know?
Yeah. I remember my one straight friend, like, asking me, because every show I watch, it has, I'm like, is there a gay character? Is there a gay couple? I need to know what actress is in this show. Like, and it's like you see your stories and you see yourself in the characters. And I still remember specific shows that I watched, or, like, getting mad about a painting that a guy painted, a man painted back in the day, and just feeling that anger.
Who though? Who did they paint?
Yeah, which man?
So Picasso.
Let's find him.
There's a Picasso painting that I just read about that's called The Dream. And it's basically a woman, like, pleasuring herself, and you won't notice it. Like, did you just look it up?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
you won't notice it when you're typing. Like, they're taking notes. On the head of, like, on her head is his penis, because that's what she's thinking about when she's, you know, doing her thing.
Oh,
so
my God.
That made me so angry. And I, like, threw the book across the room. And I'm like, I want to redo that painting. Yeah. Just in, like, my style, and, like,
that would be super
from
cool.
Sapphic. But that's just one that comes to mind.
I'm looking at it right now, and now I can't unsee it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Because honestly, it looks artsy at first. You're like, oh, this is cool. And then it's like, no, if you know the context.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Men always think it's about them. Always.
I know. Yeah.
I would like to dive in a little bit, though, on, I know I was, like, the gaylor of it all, but also I do find it, like, me and Leigh are both musicians. So, like, I do find it really interesting that, like, music has been a big inspiration to you for your art.
Yeah.
So I'd love if you just like talk about that a little bit more. Like what about the songs like gives you these visuals?
Yeah, no, I've definitely been drawn more to music, and I never thought about it, but it really, like, even when I am getting ready to paint, like I either have on like brain waves to like calm me down, like something like that, or I'm like getting pumped up with music. Like if I'm painting something sad, I really want to pair that with something sad, just because it helps me channel it better. What started me doing like my music inspired series was Taylor Swift's Evermore in 2020. I was so drawn to that album. It is my favorite of hers. And Ivy, I immediately was like, oh, this reminds me of like an Emily Dickinson type vibe. And I did like the wine Ivy painting. And I don't know. I'm drawn to music because it's like a prompt. I think of it as a prompt. Mm-hmm. I can really connect to something, and then I get a visual for it, and I immediately want to make that happen. But I think of them as prompts for narratives that I already have, obviously, within me. But Taylor, that album with Evermore was huge.
Yeah.
That was a huge
There's
eye-opener.
nothing gayer than I think everything you just said. You're like
Evermore was, honestly, I mean, we all know we've talked
that
many
was
times
such
on
a
this.
time, man. That was such a time when that came out.
I know. I did back to back. Like I did Ivy, I did Gold Rush, I did Nobody No Crime. Then I went to Right Where You Left Me, Tolerated. I did so many from that album because I was like, wow, this is longing.
Oh, I'm just saying we talk so much about like Taylor Swift and her gay shit. But like I also love like then you also have like the Lavender Haze print and like all of the newer stuff, like
Maroon and
what is it about, I know the answer, but what is it about Taylor Swift's music that makes you feel like you should be making this gay?
That's a great question. I feel like I naturally gravitate towards things that is a good question because I don't know now. Like I know all of obviously the talk about her, but I just really connected to her music. Yeah. And to me, it was like very, from my perspective, it was very queer coded. And I just felt the longing and the just secretive nature of it. I'm so used to that in my own life and relationships that, you know, from before I came out, it was like, that's all we know. So I feel like why people really gravitate towards her music.
Well, if there's like a dissertation in that sentence already, I mean, honestly,
yeah. I mean, also, I think too, I mean, like I was talking to someone the other day and they were like, are you a Swiftie? And I was like, I don't really identify as a Swiftie, but I also will fight to defend Taylor Swift to the end. Do you know what I mean? Like it was like, I was like, I'm not really a Swiftie, but like if anyone tries to tell me like, oh, Taylor Swift sucks, I'll be like, no, here are all the reasons why, like, because she's an incredible songwriter. Like she does, she paints a word picture. So I can totally see why her music would really like get those visuals going in your head. Like every time you listen to a Taylor Swift song, you can see it. Like she's so good at doing it.
Yeah, she describes it very well. Like just all of specifically thinking of Maroon, just all the different reds and the rusted telephone lines and the roses, carnations, like that painting, I felt like I had so many things to go off of and I just immediately connected it and did my painting of it. But yeah, she does a lot of descriptors and lots of visuals in there to go off of. Fletcher, I connect to, and I got to do some pieces for her, which was cool. And I'm going to be doing like a Renee Rapp inspired coming up.
Oh my God.
So I'm excited about that.
Stop.
But
the sapphics are
it
gonna
is
die.
Renee's moment right now. So
I know,
that
right?
tracks.
I want to take a quick break and come back and talk a little bit more about this.
Right now, there are more forcibly displaced people in the world than at any other time in recorded history. Queer and trans refugees are uniquely vulnerable due to state-sponsored homophobia and transphobia. In more than 60 countries around the world, same-sex intimacy is criminalized, and LGBTQI+ people face severe forms of violence and persecution because of who they are or who they love. Rainbow Railroad is a global charitable organization that helps at-risk LGBTQI+ people get to safety. Since its founding in 2006, they've helped more than 13,000 LGBTQI+ individuals find safety through emergency relocation, crisis response, cash assistance, and other forms of support. Rainbow Railroad is the first queer organization to partner with the U.S. government to bring at-risk LGBTQI+ refugees to the U.S. through Welcome Corp. This program allows everyday Americans to privately sponsor refugees from around the world. Volunteers help queer and trans refugees build a new life with dignity by empowering them with critical support and resources. Due to barriers in asylum and traditional resettlement, Rainbow Railroad also advocates for governments around the world to protect the right to seek asylum and create expanded and flexible pathways to safety for at-risk LGBTQI+ individuals. Learn more and support their work at rainbowrailroad.org or emailing community@rainbowrailroad.org.
Lez Hang Out.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. And as we head into Thanksgiving time, I want to start by thanking my wife, Kelsey, who has not only listened to just about every episode of this podcast for 8 seasons now, but who also is the only reason I'm able to make time to record it every week. She takes the kids, gets them dinner, and gets them ready for bed just so that Ellie and I can come on and yell about gay things into each other's faces for an hour. So here's a reminder to send some thanks to the people you're grateful for in your life, including yourself. I've been in therapy for a long time now, and one thing that's so important about therapy is how it teaches you to be more intentional. And being intentional about gratitude and how to show that to the people you appreciate is just one of the many benefits that I've gotten from therapy over the years. If you've been thinking of starting therapy, consider giving BetterHelp a try. I know how hard it can be to find time for regular therapy, and BetterHelp is designed to be flexible and convenient for your schedule. You can fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. If you want to start being more intentional about gratitude in your life, visit betterhelp.com/Lez Hang Out today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp, HELP.com/Lez Hang Out.
Lez Hang Out.
For many businesses, the holiday season can be both an exciting and stressful time. With so many balls in the air, one thing you definitely want to know you can rely on is how you're selling your products. And with Shopify, you can rest easy knowing it's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. And when it comes to successful brands like Aloe, Allbirds, or Skims, an often overlooked secret is all the things that go on behind the scenes that make selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, if you take a peek behind that curtain, you'll see that Shopify is what makes it all possible. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, so that's more happy customers and way more sales going. It's true all the time, but especially this time of year, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use for Realm merch with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm. For many businesses, the holiday season can be both an exciting and stressful time. With so many balls in the air, one thing you definitely want to know you can rely on is how you're selling your products. And with Shopify, you can rest easy knowing it's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. And when it comes to successful brands like Aloe, Allbirds, or Skims, an often overlooked secret is all the things that go on behind the scenes that make selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, if you take a peek behind that curtain, you'll see that Shopify is what makes it all possible. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, so that's more happy customers and way more sales going. It's true all the time, but especially this time of year, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use for Realm merch with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
Hey, do you like true crime? Me too. And I know what you're thinking. There's so many true crime pods out there, you've already heard all the stories. Well, what if I were to tell you you're wrong? I'm Leroy Luna, the host of Excuse Me, That's Illegal, the podcast that takes a hardcore look at softcore crime. I've got a back catalog of hundreds of bizarre and hilarious stories just waiting to be heard by you. So come join me. Excuse Me, That's Illegal is available anywhere you get your favorite podcasts, with new episodes dropping on the 10th, 20th, and 30th every month, baby.
Okay, I wanna dive back in, and I want to stay on Maroon. I know we're like talking about other inspirations, and we will go there as well. But I want to talk about the Maroon painting a little bit too, because I feel like to me, the Maroon painting that you did. I mean, yes, the imagery, the colors in the song, and the everything. What I think is my favorite part of the Maroon painting is, regardless of, I mean, like, again, listen, we are not a podcast that is like going hard on what is or is not Taylor Swift's sexuality. I think what we care about is how we and many queer people relate to Taylor Swift's music. What I think is so funny about the Maroon print is when you look at that painting, right? Which, again, for any of our listeners, if you have not pulled up Halie's website already, like just over the course of this discussion, like really get on it, okay? Like get on there and follow along as we're talking. But what I love about it is when you look at it, it's so clearly that song, right? Like you could show that to somebody without the title, and if they've ever heard the song, like I don't think there's much question about what is the inspiration for that song, right? But at the same time, it's so fucking gay. Like it's so gay. And and it's so gay in a way that like it just makes sense, right? Like it just fits the song so well. Yeah. And this is the thing about, like, I think for me, the reason I love like your whole Taylor Swift series, I mean, like it's not like that's all you paint, and I want to talk about some of the other paintings as well. But I think the reason I love so many of them is that it's like, for me personally, again, like you said, Ellie, I do not hugely identify as someone who's like the biggest Taylor Swift fan. Like, I'm not like, oh my God, that's all I listen to and I love her so much. I'm like, I think Taylor Swift, like for me as a songwriter, lyrically, I just think she's a genius. Like, I think she's such a cool songwriter. For me, again, like in terms of how I write music, how I listen to music, how I engage with music, like music that I cannot engage with from a queer perspective, I find far less interesting, in the same way that media, like TV shows and books that I cannot engage with from a queer perspective, is less interesting to me. And I think that that's why, like, there's just something that sometimes it is hard to convey that in a really succinct way. And then your art comes into the picture, and I'm like, oh, there it is. Look at that. It's right there. Like, that's what I'm talking about. That's how I listen to Taylor Swift's music. This is what I'm trying to say. You're like, show the painting. Yes, I literally, I'm like, oh, I just need like a wallet size version so that I can just be like, when people are like, why do you, yeah, when people are like, why do you think Taylor Swift's music is gay? This. No, but I'm so serious though. Part. Like in the most honest way though, like that's so true. Like that's what it is I'm like, this is when I listen to Taylor Swift's music, like I don't care that like, what if the song's not meant to be gay, and what if she has like 8 bajillion straight fans? Like I don't care. When I hear it, this is what it is. This is what I hear. And you can't say it's wrong, and it's because all about your interpretation of it. Right. And like you can't say it's wrong because nobody could look at this print and not know what it's referencing. Right? Mm-hmm. And like I just think that's so fucking cool. It's so cool.
Yeah, like art is subjective, and that's how I would interpret it. And that's exactly what I see. So like what I think the best art helps create other art. The best art comes from other art too. And it's like, why not create them? And with Maroon, it was so vivid. Like that was one that I had no doubts about. Like when I can't paint just any song. Like there's got to be something there, like an invisible string of sorts, not to pull a song pun, but that I connect with, and that I'm like, nope, this is going to be a painting. I can see this. It's going to happen. But it doesn't happen with everything. But with Taylor's work, it comes very naturally.
I love that.
Maybe because I'm just so invested. I don't really know, but
Understandable.
it might be that.
Very understandable. So besides music, like what inspires your art?
I feel like at the center of my work is just really sharing the beauty of sapphic relationships. And also I paint like single subjects, like just the emotions, the downfalls, the heartache, just the well-rounded nature of our relationships and being gay and how that feels. Like I feel like I create those emotions with the figurative paintings that I do. And that's at the core of all my work. So the stories around it usually come, like I said, from songs or from myself. And it just all comes together for me. Like it all makes sense.
And it's so cool to have that, to have art that does that again in a way where it's like it doesn't feel like anyone who has ever gone on and tried to look for like art, like female figure art, right? Like sometimes you feel like what you've stumbled into is like a video game character creation screen of like just giant boobs and skimpy clothes, right? Like what is the most, like how far can a human back arch? Right, is the question they are striving to answer with this art piece. And you're like, that's not what I'm going for, right?
Yeah,
like
scroll past that.
yeah, that's not it. What I want is like, because what I love is like their sensuality and hypersexualization are not the same thing, right? Like, worlds apart.
Do you think, like there's I think that's a good line to draw. And that's sort of what we've been talking about the female gaze versus the male gaze, right? Because you also like, there's the over sexualization, but you also like don't want to deny that women are sexual people.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, you don't want to desexualize them when like this is also a big part of women and our identity.
Right before the climax is what I like to capture. Like in the Maroon, it's like right before the splash is going to go on the shirt, or they're holding the glass up, or there's like the finger through the jeans. Like there's just very subtle things that I don't think men get and just sapphics understand. Not to bring men into it, but like sapphics get that. Like we get those really secretive moments that are everything to us. Like these little things that make up just gay panic.
Yeah, gay panic. I'm like, so you're saying that, wait, lesbians understand foreplay? That's so weird.
Yeah. Crazy. No, but it's exactly why, like sometimes when Ellie and I are talking about movies, right? And it's like we will spend a lot of time, surprisingly, talking about like different sex scenes in different movies. And sometimes you can have a scene that like really doesn't actually show anything at all. Right? When you get right down to it, that just, but you're like, whew, it's a little like, whew, okay.
It's like eye
contact. A little sweating right now, like way more than like a super gratuitous, over the top, like, oh, shirts are off and like there are just nipples everywhere and everyone's touching everything. And you're like, I mean, fine. But like,
free the nipple also, but
free the nipple, yes. Like, I'm not like against it, but like, it's like sometimes you sit through a scene like that and you're like, okay, I guess they fucked, right? And like sometimes you're like, and now here is just like a hint of skin with like a sheet being pulled across, and you're like,
I think it's also just why,
slow burn.
It's literally just why lesbians fucking love a period piece with people just staring at each other for like 20 minutes.
But I don't love a period piece all that much, Ellie. And I'm like, but sometimes really the difference is like who choreographed this, who directed the scene,
who choreographed the staring.
Was it a man?
That's the difference.
Who was just like, how quickly can we get boobs out? And you're like, okay. I guess if we have to, like, it's not like I don't like boobs, but it's just, it feels
It's the buildup.
cheap
It's the slow
and
burn.
kind of
It's the
uninteresting.
tension. It's the tension.
It's the tension. Yes.
Have you seen Eileen? Did you watch
We
Eileen?
have not yet.
Not yet. No. Is it good?
Gosh. It's just, yeah, I think it's good.
Is it? It's just all tension.
There's a lot of tension, and there's like a leg grab, and I'm like, it's just so subtle, but it's so good. Like that, literally seeing that, I'm like, I need to do a painting of a leg grab.
But see, but that's the thing is, I'm like, you know how like men will make websites that are like, when do you see boobs, right? Like, when do you see ass in this movie? Like, when do you see this actress's ass in what movie? Like, what's the frame?
There are websites for that? I was like, I'm not on these websites, Leigh.
Because they like,
you're like, oh yes, men have made them. Not
no, because they'll put them in movies. Like, what movie is it where they like look it up? There's a movie where they like the characters like look up like, when do you see this actress's boobs or something, right?
Yeah,
I swear there have to be websites. I feel like if lesbians were gonna make a website like that, that's what it would be. It would be like, what's the hottest scene in this movie? And it's like, oh yeah, it's where this character like touches this one's leg in like the sensual, like in this super sexy way, and you're like, that's what we would want, right? We'd be like, yeah, they just like their eyes, they hold eye contact, and that's it. And you're like,
their faces are this close to each other, but they don't quite.
They don't kiss.
Yeah,
I love body language. Like I like painting hands a lot. I don't usually include faces because I feel like those subtle little movements are important.
I was going to ask about that actually, about the fact that so many of them cut off sort of right at neck level, and what the motivation was for that.
Yeah, it's basically just body language, and I like framing the two figures in a way where somebody can also like attach their own story or self to, because if you see a face, you're going to see somebody else, but if there's none, I think you can really connect to that character or, subject. So that's sort of the intention behind it. And I just love painting hands and like just positioning the bodies in a way that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But I might start just painting some faces. I don't know. We'll see.
Switch it up.
Or like an eye contact
faces.
painting.
Yeah, only
Oh my God,
faces.
eye contact painting would get queer women. I'm telling you.
Straight up eye contact.
It takes so little. We're so easy to please, honestly.
That's the scene that I always remember from Carol, is the car window with the freaking rain.
Oh my God.
Down.
Just like her looking from when she had I'm thinking of also the fur coat scene when she like looks over and she just looks like fresh out of an ad.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love Carol. Such a good movie.
Ellie's like, I'll commission it.
The build up. I was going to do a Carol painting over Christmas, and then I did the Blake Taylor one, so I didn't. But
talking about some leg grabs, geez. I mean, come on.
I know. When I saw that, I'm like, I'm painting it.
So also, okay.
There is no way.
When you painted that also, I'm looking at it right now. How much did you really have to change it? Or is it like basically transcribed? Like, do you know what I mean?
So gold, yeah. The positioning, no, but the outfits and the snake, there was no snakes, but I wanted it like gold and to change the background colors. But yeah, I mean, the positioning of them was not changed at all.
Pretty accurate, yeah. It is also funny to see, like you said, like with half their faces not on it, it does make the positioning of their body what you focus on even more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely intentional.
What was the oh my God, right? Didn't Ryan Reynolds freaking Photoshop his face and Travis Scott's on?
It was like,
would you ever do that version?
Men make memes. Yeah, no. Men make memes and like sapphics make art.
Yes.
That's my saying to that. But no, I did see that.
Yeah. Not the vibe. Yeah. I like that.
And people did say, I think someone did comment about that or like message me it. Like, I am never, ever painting that.
No.
Or like to do a football painting. I'm like, no. Can't relate.
We're good.
Yeah.
We're good. Also, I don't know what I want to say about this, but like the Taylor Swift t-shirt one like really hits me.
Oh, Swiftie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like when I talk about the older ones, it feels like so long ago that I painted it. I think it was it was 2 years ago, 2022. And that was inspired by Fletcher. The Swiftie line, Swift t-shirt line or shirt on the ground. I did that one.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what I want to say about that. Just that it's good. That's all. That's all.
Have you noticed a difference in terms of engagement with the stuff that, like, the Taylor-inspired stuff, the other musician-inspired stuff, the, like, you know, not directly related to music stuff? Like, do you feel like there's a difference in terms of where or how people engage with those?
I'm sort of in this space right now where it's like, I'm doing my situationship series that's based, you know, on my own life. And then I have like the music ones that are like intertwining into them. Then anything I do with Taylor, like Vigilante and the Taylor Blake one, those are purely of Taylor. Like that's, I feel like a different category, obviously music, but those ones usually do well. Like Vigilante got a lot of attention just with the bra on the ground and people talking about that. So it's sort of a toss-up because then I just teased that I would do something with Renee inspired and people were kind of going crazy. So anything sapphic usually
people lose it.
I feel like gets engagement.
So hot
but
right
I also,
now, Renee. Come on.
But it's like I also don't want to get caught up in thinking about how many, you know, views I'm going to get or how much buzz. It's like I want to keep creating from my heart, and that is the work that I want to do. So
love that. Can you tell us a little bit more about the situationship series? Like, what is that going to be like?
It's like, I feel like I'm going to have the same. I did 2 paintings from it, but I want it to be like maybe 8 paintings. It's just sort of a look into some of my experiences in situationships. I feel like it's such a prominent thing in the queer community that we experience these secretive, what is this? It is a relationship, but it's not, and whatever. So like these dark, sensual paintings that have to do with alcohol, and I'm doing some sad ones, but I'm also going to be doing like some sexy, liberating ones. But I feel like I want it to embody how enticing a situationship is and like the highs and the lows, and sort of encapsulate it in its own little window with these, and just sort of give you a glimpse into different emotions that you might experience in a situationship, and the downfall and some of the highs. So
nice. Yeah. How does it feel? I mean, how does it feel doing something deeply personal compared to like,
it's scarier.
Yeah.
It's scarier. Because before, like, this is an old painting from like 2019 behind me, a self-portrait. I feel like I was so much more free and thinking like, I don't care what I'm going to paint. But now that I've built up like a following, it's like, oh, I need to be a little bit more, I don't want to say careful, because I feel like with my art, I very much just go for it and I don't think about it. But I've definitely been a little bit more cautious, or just thinking, you know, what to include, what not to include, how much is too much, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, it's more
it's
like
scarier.
It's a little bit more of a privacy concern for you, right? Versus.
Yeah.
Like how much
and also,
you let
I'm
people in.
curious because it's like I talk a lot about when I write music for us. Like one of my the things that I think has really allowed me to write music for us is that I write songs for the podcast about the movies that we watch and stuff. I write for our musicals. I always have this like layer separation, you know? And so I was thinking about it while we were talking about, you know, you're like, oh, like this inspired by this Taylor song, this inspired by like this Fletcher song, like just the jump from that to saying like, and now I'm going to be doing this whole series inspired by like my situationships. And I'm like, oh God, like I could tell even just for me, I was like listening to it. I'm like, that feels different. You know, like that's a big change.
Yeah. I feel like I don't often, I use the song sometimes as maybe that separation. Now that you say it, like it's easy to, I can get a project done knowing there's like guidelines and there's, okay, here's lyrics and here's things that I can pull from myself. But when it's just myself and just me directing and like making the lyrics essentially with like my paintings and pulling the stories from myself, it's scarier. It definitely is. I'm like, yeah, you really have to think a little bit differently and be more honest with yourself. And the paintings from my close friends, I show my paintings to, and they're like, no, this feels like a lot different. Like this, even just how they're lit and the way that you're painting them, it just feels different and more emotive. And I put everything into my paintings, all my work that I make, like I feel like has a piece of myself. But these ones definitely feel different.
I'm
sure.
excited to see them.
Yeah, but that's awesome. And it is like, it's scary, but you're going to be creating some really real art, authentic, like from your own experience. So that's
I'll keep my veneer and layer of separation.
Taylor does. You're going to be, that's what Taylor does.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. So I got to step it up.
Channel Taylor. No, but it's very brave of you to do that because it is like very difficult to put yourself out there that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
But very exciting.
We'll see.
Very exciting.
Eventually. I'm thinking maybe around Valentine's Day, I'll drop the first couple.
Cool.
And go from there. So,
very cool.
Perfect timing.
Yes. Perfect timing. We're going to head into our Q and Gay. Are you ready?
Q and Gay.
Question number 1. What's your favorite type of art? A, painting, B, sculpture, C, music, or D, theater?
Painting.
Bias.
Felt like an obvious answer. Yeah.
Yeah. That's okay. It's also to hear what
you never know.
Say, you know? And yeah, you never know. Question 2, what would you listen to while painting out of A, music, B, podcasts, C, audiobooks, or D, silence, like a sociopath?
No, I can't. Honestly, I can't. Sometimes I can, but it's always A, music, or sometimes ASMR.
Nice.
It's just so strange. But like sometimes I need to put ASMR on. Like it's kind of strange, but yeah.
Whatever
works,
gets whatever gets you going.
Yeah.
Whatever gets
creative
the
juices sapphic
going.
art.
Yeah. That sounds right. All right. Question number 3. Who would be your inspiration for sapphic art? A, Taylor, B, Fletcher, C, Halie Kiyoko, or D, Renee Rapp?
I'll go with right now D, Renee Rapp.
Nice.
She's taking over the world, and honestly, more power.
She really is.
Because you know why? Because I think it's like a good tie back to everything we've just been talking about, which is that like I feel like Renee Rapp through this whole Mean Girls press tour has just been really leaning hard into the like, yeah, I am gay, and yeah, gay people are fucking awesome and hot, and like you should like, why wouldn't you know? Like I feel like she's leaning in, like I feel like she is inviting the queer gaze in a way that again, it just like it feels empowering to have someone like just
be so unapologetic. Like she really does not give two shits.
No, like her interviews, it's like
so
she's
funny.
real.
It's great. And like
it's refreshing.
Honestly, more of that, please. Yes, it's awesome.
Yeah. Like you can tell when someone's authentic, and she just is, I feel like all the time.
Yeah.
That's what people love about her.
Mm-hmm. And ridiculous.
Anyways, what number are we on? Where are we?
We're on
Question 4, Halie. Did art help you realize you were gay? Yes or no? Easy softball.
Yes. And I did play softball.
Great. Excellent.
And that also is accurate. Okay. Question number 5. What's your favorite Halie Torris painting? A, Maroon, B, Vigilante, C, Ivy, or D, Evelyn Hugo? Or you could do a write-in.
Oh.
What's your favorite painting you've ever done?
Well, out of your list, I'll say Maroon, A. And then my favorite, I feel like, is Temptation that I mentioned, just because it was the first one that I was like, F it, I'm just going to paint the gays.
Is that the first one that you were
Just
saying
go
that went
for it.
viral? Was that one?
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Nice. Thank you so much for spending time with us. This was so lovely.
No, thanks for having me.
Can you let our listeners know where they can find you, either on socials or your art, or what's the best place to look you up?
So I'm on Instagram at Halie Torris, TikTok at Halie Torris. And then also on Instagram, you can find me at the Closeted Artist podcast. And I'll be posting on there more in February. So
love it.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so anything coming up that you want to promote or let our listeners know about?
Just the Situationship series in February. Around Valentine's Day, check it out. I might drop them a little bit earlier, but we'll see.
Oh, I'm so
My
excited.
birthday is the 13th.
Nice. Very excited. Well, thank you so much. This was amazing.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Let me hear you say hip, 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 well, yeah.
We love hearing from all of you. We love continuing to build this community, and we just want to shout out some of our favorite things every episode. Starting with, we want to shout out some Instagram comments that we got. First of all, Keisha Banton, who messaged us about being so ready for our episode on the holiday, which I love. I love how excited the gays were about the holiday, because I'll be honest, when that request came in, I was like, really, the holiday? So, like, what a choice. And I mean, obviously,
You were wrong.
I've seen the light. I've seen the error of my ways as soon as I rewatched it. But like, I just love that there are so many other gays out there who were like, yes, the
They've
holiday.
been waiting for the holiday.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that for all of you.
I do. Another comment on Instagram. So when we were doing our bottoms episode, I think there's a quote basically saying like, do not put me in your fight club. I will not win. Right. And there were some interesting comments on it. But one of my favorites was one that said, beat me up, Ellie. And that was from...
She can't. That's the whole point.
Yeah, exactly. I won't be able to. And that was from the Femmes Band Instagram account. And I'd just like to say, I don't run that account. So it was not me telling myself to beat me up. And I just want to clarify that. So
But are you going to tell us who does run the account?
Oh, yes. Let me blow up her spot. So Bailey wants me to beat her up. So
amazing.
She has...
And she's right, too.
Yeah. So I'll let you know. These arms can't fight anyone, but I'll let you know if I can take her.
These guns are just for show, okay? They are for display purposes only. Other comments that we got on Instagram is someone who, I think this is in relation to, also to our bottoms episode, but I think in relation to a quote about ugly, untalented gays.
Yes.
That this is from Tally Appleshy Cola, who wanted to let us know we are quoting the comedian Deanne Smith. So
props to Deanne Smith for inspiring all of us now to call ourselves ugly, untalented gays because of bottoms. We love like the lineage of ugly, untalented gays.
Amazing. As always, we want to thank our Lesbian Jesus patrons, Mark Foster,
Lizette Stye,
Adi Benitez,
Sophia Phillips,
and Armani Gucci.
And our King Princess patrons, Amy and Ellen.
And Andrea Doucette. Thank you all. We could not keep doing this show without you and all of our patrons.
Remember, you can also find us on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok at Lez Hang Out Pod.
You can email us at lezhangoutpod@gmail.com.
Or you can check out our website at lezhangoutpod.com.
Whatever app you use to listen to podcasts, make sure you subscribe. That way you'll get new episodes as soon as they go up every week.
We're also posting videos on our YouTube channel, so make sure you subscribe at youtube.com/lezhangoutpod to catch them.
Lez Hang Out is an independently produced show. It's hosted by us. Our audio production is done by Ellie. Our production assistant is Krista Mearson, and various other shenanigans are done by me.
If you want to support the podcast, the easiest way to do that is to rate and review us on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. We love hearing what you have to say.
If you want to join our Patreon, you get access to so much good stuff. You get access to our Discord chat. You get access to ad-free episodes, Les Essentials viewing parties, and so much more. You can join us at bit.ly/LesPatreon.
If you want to get some Lez Hang Out merch, you can get that at bit.ly/LesShop. We have all kinds of gay designs, so you can really show your gayness in a way that supports your favorite gays. And you can get that merch at bit.ly/LesShop.
Remember, we also have a queer production company making queer podcast musicals with guaranteed happy endings that you can find everywhere at Dollar Bean Prod.
Or at our website, dollarbeanproductions.com.
You can check out all of the episodes of our first show, The Flame, on any podcasting app, and our current show, Journey to the Heart, is releasing now, also anywhere you listen to podcasts.
And if you want to help support us in making more musicals, you can join our Patreon at bit.ly/dollarbeanpatreon.
If you want to follow us individually, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at LSH Foster.
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Ellie Brigida. With that, I'm Ellie.
And I'm Leigh. And let's hang out again soon.
Let's hang out.
Hi, I'm Laura Cathcart-Robbins, and I am the host and creator of the podcast Only One in the Room. Every week, my co-host Scott Slaughter and I invite you to join us and lose yourself in someone's incredible Only One story. We talk to real people dealing with issues like infertility, the death of a loved one, human trafficking, and women who, fake it. Oh, and we want to be fair, so we talk to celebrities too. Emmy winners like actor John Cryer, supermodels like Amber Valletta, and rock stars like Ryan Dusick. Everyone is invited to share their Only One story with our listeners. With 21 seasons and counting, we guarantee you that Only One in the Room has a story that you'll connect with. This podcast is for anyone who has ever felt alone in a room full of people, which is to say that this podcast is for everyone. Download Only One in the Room on Apple or Spotify today.